Welcome to Sweet Transit. My name is Nilaus, and this is a showcase video of a game called, well, Sweet Transit. This is a free demo that's available of the game on Steam for a limited period of time. It is the state of the game is in a pre-early access release state, so keep that in mind. So what is Sweet Transit? Well, it is a small indie game, so set your expectations accordingly. It basically takes the trains from Factorio and adds some city building aspects like the Anno series. The only transport in this world is with trains, so that is definitely the core mechanics, setting up supply lines and train congestion and signaling, all of that good stuff that you might be familiar with from Factorio or other games, Transport Tycoon, for example. So if you like messing with trains, then this game may be something for you. A lot of people in the community have asked me about this game, so I thought I'd give it a shot. So this is a showcase for you. If you like this kind of thing, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see more or what you'd like to see. Other upcoming games, for example, you'd like me to take a look at. And of course, consider subscribing to keep up with more factory games and that kind of genre of games here on the channel. Now this video is after I played 4 hours on Livestream and trying to sort of figure out the mechanics. And then I will be replaying some of the early game for you so that you can get a more structured beginning now that I kind of know how the game works. The basic idea is for you to get a sense of how the game plays and whether it's something that is interesting for you, so you can make a decision of whether buying it or not. And of course, wishlisting games on Steam is a big help to small developers, so consider that. Let's dive into a new game. And we are now in the game. We are going to just dive straight in, and the first thing we want to do is build a warehouse. This is basically our central location where we can store things, and the things that are available here are the things that we can build. So as we want to build our first village, there's a gray area around it that just says that you can't build it too close, and that's kind of incentivizing you to everything must be connected by trains. So we need to build a little location. I need to build it not too far away, but also just getting close to the water so we can catch some fish to keep the people alive here. We'll call it a very good name of Town 1. First thing you want to do in almost all building games is you want to build some housing, and we need to connect it with roads. So they are now connected with roads, and basically that gets us our first little town in here. Each of those can store house, I guess it's called, some workers. And we now see here up here in the top left, this is kind of milestones. Basically, as you grow your city, you reach new milestones and new things unlock automatically. This one unlocked now that we need to get some water, so you can see that we put some water towers in and they are now happy with some water. In order for them to continue to grow and be more happy, then we need to make sure that they get fed, and the one thing we can feed them with is some fish. So we take this little pond over here. Wonder how many fish we can catch in that little pond, but hey, we'll catch them all. We set up these two locations, and they have a warning because they are not connected to the road. Now they're connected to the road, and they have another warning because they don't have a place to store the fish. So we built a little storage location which can hook up here, and you can now see that the fish are accumulating here. There are one fishery takes 20 resources and produces 20 food, and then there'll be a then now that you can see that it increases, we are reaching our threshold, population threshold. People are storming into our city because they are so happy to live here in our beautiful city that has fish and water. Yeah, that's a good start. So we expand our city a bit, our town. Very important is that you can't really build very big towns, at least maybe that's in demo, maybe just in the beginning. I think that's also incentivizing you to build many small towns instead of one big town. Here you can see they have now fish, but they don't have potatoes. That's something we're going to get a bit later. So at this point, we have lots of people, and they're complaining that they don't have work. So over here you have the tab that says the warnings, and they have not enough work. So what do we want to get them to work? Well, let's get them to work in a coal mine, and then they'll stop complaining about not having work when we put them down in a coal mine. So here we have a coal deposit, and we will be using that to build a coal deposit, and just build it here, and you can see that it reserves some area around it, and I think that's just to make sure that you can't build them too close to each other. We have a little stockpile of coal out here, and once we have that, then we can go over to our logistics tab, and then we can build a little station. The station has to be really close, and it's just a little cute little station like this, and we need to build a platform. This is how long this train can be. I built it 2 on that side, and then I built it 6 on the other side, so that means it's a total of 10 length long. 2 length is 1 wagon or locomotive, so it's basically making it 1 4 train, 1 locomotive, and 4 wagons. I want all of these stations to have 2 platforms, so I make a bridge over the over the rails that I haven't built yet, and then make a platform on the other side. This means that trains will not need to stack so much, because I will both need to bring people in to work in the coal mine, and I also need to bring coal out. So just having 2 platforms is a good place to start. That is the first one. We'll give it a more meaningful name. Let's call it Coal 1. Seems like a good name. Then we can build the same thing over by our town. And we'll also build a little station here. This doesn't have a lot of reach. You can see at that gray area around it is actually going to sort of be a bit constraining on how far we can actually, or how many people actually feel that they're close enough to the station. It's a bit weird to me that they don't really want to walk 2 streets down and then that's too far away. But I guess that's the way it works. Here again, I'm building it 10 tiles long. I'm going to build a bridge over so we can have 2 stations here just to get it started. And we'll go over and build some over here in this location. This is some coal storage, so that if we bring coal to the town, then they will be stored and can put into new trains that come in, because we need to make sure that all the trains are fueled with coal in order to work. So here is that part. What we'll do now is I've sort of looking at, we need to connect these 2, we need to connect it up to the warehouse. So there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built while all of the workers are complaining that they're not near the station, they don't have work, yeah. So here we built the train lines. I'm just going to build a very simple train line that is going to be reminiscent of pretty much every train line I've ever built. We're going to build a main line here, and I'm going to build branches off the main line to get it into to set up. And if you're familiar with Factorio, you should be very much familiar with how this works. I think one of those things, like with the small lakes and the mountains, is just to make sure you can't make it too much like I want to make it. Like yeah, you have to consider the terrain and sort of bend around and make more spaghetti mess train lines. So we make a branch off, and you can kind of get a sense of how it works. Again, very much like Factorio. And I'm going to be making sort of a T intersection here. And then we need signals. There are both change signals and normal signals, and they work pretty much like they do in Factorio. I'm going to set in change signals here where we need them. Those are change signals, and then I'm going to be setting up. That's not needed. Okay. That's on the outbound, that's on the outbound, and then I'm going to be building it. It technically works right now, but this is better. And we will be deleting this. So that is a correctly tiled thing. You can see the colors here. That is very much reminiscent of Factorio. There we go. Now the colors are correct, and it looks nice for our build. We can continue to work up here, and then now I've built, basically just moving forward and set up all these stations like this. They need to have they only recalculate the route when they get into change signals. So you need to have a change signal before splitting into the 2 platforms on the station. This is our network. There's a coal station, there's a warehouse station, and there is a town station. So what we need to build now is making sure that where are the trains coming from? They're coming from a maintenance depot. So we built that here, and that will also need to be hooked up to our main line, which is what we get that done here. And then I need to figure out which way the rails go. So that goes to one side. You can rotate the map, but since it rotates in 90-degree angles, then I get confused every time I rotate. So I'm going to be sort of not rotating it, just so I know you can rotate it. I just didn't do it because I get confused. Here's another little example. If you are building like a lot of lines, you can see it places many signals at once. So you can hear, and you can hold down the button and then click it, and then it automatically makes a lot of extra signals along the path. That's pretty cool if you have long train lines and just want some signals. It seems that the trains are also reserving a bit more than 1 block ahead, and I think that's sort of with number of blocks ahead is depending on the braking speed. I'm not 100% sure on this, but it just seems to me that I had some issues with sort of figuring out why they were bumping into each other. But in this case, we're trying to make it very simple. Lots of good change signals and lots of spacing here. I think that what we can see at this point is that the train system is pretty robust, which is kind of the core gameplay. So it's really important that it's robust as well. Now it's time for us to start working on setting up some train schedules. We're going to be going here to the coal. The first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we get workers going from town 1 into coal 1, and that we make a schedule. This is not associated with a train. So unlike Factorio, where you build the train and then set the schedule, here you make the schedules and the trains separately. It goes from town 1 to coal 1, and then it knows that it is a type of train that's called swap workers, because it will be swapping workers between here. And then we now go into, we build the schedule, we go into the train preset, make a new train preset. This is a special type of train called, I'm going to call it a worker train. What it'll include a locomotive, a tender, so have extra coal if it's going a long distance, and then a single wagon that can transport 40 with laborers back and forth. So it'll drop them off 40, and then we can, here we can select what schedule it should be attached to, and then as we press build, it starts building in the maintenance hub. And I guess if you sort of have something where you build like many more, then you do it here. We follow the little train, and it'll go into the city, and what we will see is nothing happens. We should be seeing people coming in, but they're not coming in. We also see it in the warning where it says no station in range, because this station is not associated to the town for some reason. And that's one of those things that we, when learning a new game, those are the things we need to figure out. So, no station in range. Here we go. They don't see that it's range. So what we need to do is make sure that it's connected by a road. And then they will be running around. You can see the little people running around. No station range. These two are apparently too far away from the station. So that's less than ideal. We'll build some new houses down here while we wait for the train to come back to pick up some of our new workers. There we go. And then they also need some water. There we go. Happy water. This train is now coming in, filling up with 40 laborers, and they will be shipped off to the coal mine. Ha! They'll stop complaining about not having enough work. Oh, the irony. Oh, I don't have enough work. I don't have enough work. Well, off you go into the coal mines with you. That's a great way to make people complain about not having a work. Yep. So off we go, and we'll see that they come in here to the coal mine. Currently, we're not building anything. We're not transporting coal anywhere because we need to get people to actually start working. They're working, and they will then gradually become tired as they work here, and that's why we need to switch workers back and forth with this train. Keep going back and forth. So let's build a new route. This one will be just taking from coal 1 and then setting into warehouse 1, because now we need to get the coal into the warehouse. And we'll say from coal to warehouse, set the weight conditions is full cargo. That could be problematic if we have too many things picking up coal. So we'll just let it be time passed. And then going to the warehouse. And then we get a new train. This train should be, how about calling it coal train? And then what it'll have 1 locomotive and then 4 wagons. It doesn't need a tender because it's transporting coal from the coal mine. So it'll be picking up at the coal mine itself. And we set it to the schedule, coal to warehouse 1. And then we schedule the build. Takes 20 seconds to build. We're playing it at double speed, so it should not be overly long time for it to come out. And of course we will take the train and we will just watch it as it goes up to the coal mine and see if they've actually worked. So you can click on the wagons to see what's in each of the wagons. Currently, obviously nothing. And as we go in here, you can also see the icon is slightly changing as it gets more filled. And it's now up to 50 and the train departs. I don't know if it is exactly 20 seconds, and that's the why it default to 20 seconds, but it seems like the waiting time and the loading time is exactly added. So you can see here up here at the top, that's what we have in our warehouse currently. We are bringing in some coal, and now the coal should be increasing in this location, and they are not emptying completely, but because the storage is only 300. So off we go. The train goes back again. So now we have the first schedule, which goes workers from town to coal, and then coal from the coal mine to the warehouse. Now the next thing we want to do is make sure that we have some wood. So let's make a sawmill out here. That is over. It is a bit complicated with all these build menus, because some build menus are associated with the town, some are associated with logistics, and one is associated with just expansion. So you got to keep track of where things are. So we built a little sawmill, and we built a little tree nursery, and the maximum is 120. So we built that, and we can build 8 storage boxes next to it. So we built 8 storage boxes next to it. There we go, so that we can have a good storage. And then this is of course not connected. It's complaining that there are no workers, and then we assign it to a station. Again, we built the same station as we've been building before. And since we have done that before, let's skip until we have built it. Now the station is ready, called Wood 1, and it is ready to go. So the stuff we need is to build the schedules. Now we need workers to come in, and we need to bring the wood to the warehouse. So the first thing, of course, is we also build here. Build a new one from town to the new coal locations. Waiting. And that's ready to go. And we also build the schedule from town 1 to wood 1. That's the one. Yeah, we give it a name. Once we have a name, we'll build another schedule, and that schedule will be going from wood 1 and then going into the warehouse 1. Warehouse 1. Should be warehouse, right? Shouldn't it? I think it should be. It should be warehouse 1. Because we don't need to bring the wood to the town. We need to bring it to the warehouse, because that's from the warehouse we build things. Here I will be staying at this location until it's full, and then go to warehouse for just unloading in the meantime. Good, so now we have the schedules, but we don't have any trains associated with this. So let's add some trains here. Let's go in here and find that worker train, and we'll send a worker train. Will be assigned to town to wood 1, and then schedule the build. Anytime now. There we go. It is getting built. So we can keep track of whether this train is coming in. That's the little green one. I like that they assign different colors to them by default. Of course, you can always go into something and go like, okay, all of my passenger trains, our PAX trains are going to be X, Y, and Z, but that's irrelevant for us at this point. So we picked up the 40 workers, and they will now be heading over to the sawmill so they can start working at the sawmill. There are still some efficiency problems because we don't have workers assigned. That's obviously less than 100% efficiency. And they will be unloading the workers, and they'll get working on the tree nursery. And you can now see there are no problems. Everything is assigned. We still have up in the warehouse, we don't have anything, any wood brought in. So we'll build a new train. That's going to be a wood train template. If we need that, it's going to be 1 station, 1 tender, and 3 flat wagons. Now, the tender thing, I'm not sure it needed, but I did have them run out pretty early previously, so I just put a tender here just to make sure that they don't run out in this case. And here comes our train. There we go. This train, you can also rename the train, so now they're just called Train 4, but the schedule should be explanatory enough for me. And it goes into our little sawmill that we built. As you can see, that we're actually sort of pretty quickly building up a little industry here, and the train's just going back and forth between the different locations. It picks it up, and then it heads to the location of the warehouse. And because the wood is what we need in order to continue building. Later on, we'll probably need stone and clay and that kind of thing. So there'll be more industry to build up as well. But at least at this point, now we have the wood. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to build some coal storage at this location. So if train comes in here, then it is possible for us to load them from that location, because not every train is going to the coal station. Some will also be going other places, such as only the town. So what we'll build is to make sure we distribute the coal to various locations so that they can be unloaded there, from coal 1 to town 1, and also to warehouse 1. So we go from coal 1, also just to show you that you can actually set it up for multiple locations. This one is going to be set as full, so it actually could get stuck at the coal location. You have to keep in mind that how many platforms you have at the station and what they're going to be set up. So it goes to town and then goes to warehouse, and then we built a new train. We selected our template already created, the coal train, and we assign it to our new schedule. And then, well, that's just it. Schedule the build. We can see in the background, we can see a train up at the top right hand corner. Oh, it went out. Here, that was actually running out of fuel. Not enough fuel. We can see the warnings at top left. Here we go. Warning. This is the passenger train going between town and sawmill. None of those locations have any fuel, so that is not working. And up there, the purple one, that is our schedule here. The one that goes town 1, warehouse 1. It's now getting filled up, I hope. And let's just check that it is filled up. Yes, 50-50 each. And then we'll go to town and then unload it, not particularly for the town to use, but mainly for it to be available for trains that stop at the town. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that you always Or you must have refueling somewhere. Maybe on day 50 you'll do refueling. I don't know. It's only day 5, so me doing refueling on day 5 is pretty high bar. Oh, we have the green train coming in. That was out of fuel, just limping along, and instantly it gets refueled and takes some of the coal out of here. We're down to, yeah, definitely less. So that means we've now made this part. Also at this point, we realized that I already had a coal train coming into coming in to the warehouse. So there's no point in having the new train actually go into the warehouse. It should just go from the coal to the town to refuel at that location, and therefore we can change the name and remove the stop for that location, and that's it. We've changed the schedule, so the schedule, any train that's assigned to the schedule will now be changed as well. It's not copying the schedule, it is referencing the schedule. At this point, well, we are doing pretty good. We have wood, we have coal sorted, so now we want to make a potato field in order to get our people to be more happy, because they will want some chips. They want fish and chips, so they have the fish, but they don't have the chips. So let's get some fish and chips for our sprawling little location. And here we have the chips farm. And again, we'll basically be making how big is the potato field. It is going to be the maximum size, because why would I not make it the maximum size? And we build it here, the storage. And then of course we also, as usual, you can say we want to build a train station as well. We want to make sure that we can actually loop around at this location, so I don't want to build it too close to the mountains. And we built the bridge across. And we built the other platform. And then we just hook it up to the network. So now it's hooked up to the network, potato 1. And then we need to do the same thing that we've done before. We need to set up a new schedule to get the workers to come to the potato farm to start working here. That goes from, you can kind of see a lot of the functionality, at least at this point, is like you need to figure out what is the demand, you need to set up the remote production for the demand, then need to schedule workers to go here, need to schedule pickups to go there, make sure that the trains are fueled, manage the bottlenecks in the network, make sure that if the trains don't get stuck because there are either too many or not enough trains, or they have bad weight conditions, all of the good things that you are used to with trains from, well, any other train game, worth its salt to for sure. So let's build another one. Now we get the workers coming in, and while we wait for the workers to come to the potato farm, we can make one that's called potato to town 1, so that we can get the potatoes back into town. And this one will definitely be standing here until full, and then it's going to be the train condition here. This is also why it's so important to have two platforms on the station, because then we can have one that's just going to be idle and the other one will be focused on coming in. So we can now build a new train preset. That will be a potato train, and it'll have one of this, it'll have a tender, and then it'll have 3 boxcars for storing trains. And then we'll build the potato to town, build it, and it is ready to go. It is in progress. We should have a look at the train coming out. Here it is. This will now be varying the new potatoes that we just built. So the simplicity of this is quite ingenious. Like there's not much to it. You build up a platform and you build up a location. It does the stuff, and therefore the majority of the work the majority of the gameplay is about managing the logistics side of it, and to make sure that you sort of have the whole thing coherent and get an overview for it. And we get the potatoes coming back to our town. So that's basically a lot of the stuff that we were sort of looking at, and it'll go back to our thriving little town. Each of these houses will now be able to store 15 people instead of 20 instead of 15. So that is now enabling us in this town to keep building. We can build a little marketplace. If we build the marketplace, you can see the blue area is how much it covers. If we build it here, everyone got a little green apple, and that means they're all going to be getting the benefit and from being able to trade with the potatoes. So now they have fish and chips for this location. Everyone eating fish and chips in town, and that is, I think they're happy. So this is a good little town. We need to bring more people in, scale it up. And that basically is, at this point, we can say this is a pretty good indication of where we have. Here's our little train that we've been hacking together in, well, about half an hour, I think. So I think that also shows that how quickly you can build things in this network. And of course, I'm building it very boring, rigid. rigorous, consistent, crisp. I don't know what word you want to use to define my builds, but they are what they are. I hope that this basically gives you some kind of idea about this game, what it is like, and if you feel like trying it, then it's currently on. There is a free demo of this game. I don't know how much is available, but it looks like there's certainly more available than what I've been playing. So give it a go, and of course, as I mentioned, if you like the game, then be sure to wishlist it on Steam so the developers, they know that there is an interest, and sort of it helps them with that. So if you like this little showcase, then consider liking it, and also consider subscribing to the channel if you want to be updated with more things. Also for you regulars around here, well, how do you like these kind of showcase videos for new games that are upcoming? I kind of like just playing it on stream and then sort of learning it, and with all the frustration that ensues, and then I can do a bit better work here on YouTube the next day of sort of doing a showcase of what it is. And see, this is exactly the core of the gameplay. You, of course, make a single stupid signal the wrong way, and then everything just jams. That is the essence of messing with trains. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. Until next time, take care, and as always, stay effective.